What if everything you knew about power started from weakness? What if one of the strongest nations in history was once controlled, ruled, and ignored? A land full of hope, but no freedom. A people with dreams, but no voice. This is not just history. This is the story of rebellion, sacrifice, and the birth of the United States. In the early 1700s, there was no United States, no president, no constitution, no independence. Instead, this land was divided into 13 colonies, each one different, but all controlled by one powerful empire, Great Britain. People woke up every day, worked hard, built homes, raised families, but no matter how hard they tried, they were never truly free, because every major decision was made across the ocean in London. At first, life was manageable, but slowly things started changing. Britain had debts from wars, and they needed money. So what did they do? They turned to the colonies. New taxes were introduced, the Stamp Act, the Townshend Acts, the Tea Act. Everything was taxed: paper, newspapers, tea, daily essentials. But here's the problem. The colonists had no representatives in British Parliament, no voice, no choice, just orders. And that's when people started saying, taxation without representation is tyranny. Not just a sentence, a warning. The mood changed. What started as frustration turned into anger. Meetings were held in secret. Groups began to form. Writers, thinkers, leaders, they started spreading ideas about freedom, about rights, about independence. Pamphlets were printed, speeches were given, and something powerful began to grow: unity. For the first time, the colonies weren't just separate regions, they were becoming one voice. Then came a night that would change everything. The harbor of Boston, quiet, dark, still. But beneath the silence, something was about to explode. The Boston Tea Party. Colonists disguised themselves, boarded British ships, and one by one they threw chests of tea into the water. Splash, splash, splash. Hundreds of crates gone. This wasn't just destruction. This was defiance. A message to Britain: we will not obey. Britain was furious. This was no longer protest. This was rebellion. Troops were sent, control tightened, and soon the first shots were fired. The American Revolutionary War had begun. Farmers became soldiers, workers became fighters, neighbors became brothers in arms. They were not trained like British troops. They didn't have the same weapons, but they had something stronger: a reason to fight.
In times of chaos, leaders rise. And for the colonies, that leader was George Washington. He wasn't perfect. He didn't always win. But he never gave up. He held the army together when everything seemed lost. He inspired men who had every reason to quit. And slowly, he became more than a general. He became a symbol. Cold, hunger, pain. At Valley Forge, soldiers suffered beyond imagination. No proper food, no warm clothes, some didn't even have shoes. They walked on frozen ground, leaving trails of blood behind. Disease spread, hope faded, but still they stayed, because they believed freedom was worth it. In the middle of war came a decision that would change history forever: the Declaration of Independence. A document that didn't just announce separation, it declared a belief that all men are created equal, that freedom is a right, not a privilege. Signing this document was dangerous. If they failed, it meant death. But they signed anyway, because some ideas are worth dying for. The war didn't end there. Years passed, battles were won and lost. The army struggled, supplies ran low, morale dropped. But something had changed. This was no longer a fight for survival. This was a fight for identity, for a future they could call their own. After years of blood, sacrifice, and resilience, Britain surrendered. The impossible had happened. A group of colonies had defeated one of the greatest empires in the world. And from that struggle, a nation was born, the United States. From nothing to everything, from control to freedom, this is how America began. And this was only the beginning.